What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and it is international break. And you know what that means. That means unpopular opinions. So get yours in the comment section below. We've got a bunch to get through on X as well. But it's been a while since we've been live. It feels like it's been forever, to be honest. This international break is dragging on and on and on.
A week today till we play.
I know, and it's going to drag on even longer because obviously we're not in the FA Cup, so we don't get to play this weekend, and we got to wait till Thursday. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, it depends who you are, depends who you talk to.
In my opinion, it's a bad thing because, like, win, lose or draw, I just want to see my team play.
I miss football, man. International football just isn't football. I'd really like Nations League, qualify. I just couldn't care less, honestly. It's so boring to watch. I want football with a bit of stakes in it again. I want to feel something. I'm not
to be fair, though, there have been some great games to watch over this international break.
that's actually true.
The Nations League was actually really good, and Argentina, Brazil, just England.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, the team I'm supporting, the games have been just boring, and those, you know, we're not in the Nations League kind of quarterfinals, wherever it is, so there's been no stakes. But you're right, actually, those Nations League double headers were great. The two legs, they were. That was actually some really good stuff. But I'm ready to get back to club football.
You're ready. I'm just addicted to the pain. I think that's what it is. Addicted to the pain of Tottenham Hotspur.
Sadomasochism.
Chelsea away next as well. I shouldn't even be looking forward to that, but I am.
Yeah, never looking forward to Stamford Bridge, but maybe we can pull off something everyone doesn't expect. Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly, who knows? But look, we are going to get into these unpopular opinions. We've got a lot of interesting ones to get through, which I'm sure will spark some debate here.
A lot of people
me and Sim.
I see a lot of people complaining in the comments about the thumbnail. Look, it's an opinion someone's given. It's not our fault that someone gave that opinion.
Yeah, and it's opinion someone thinks.
We'll see when we get to it.
All right, well, yeah, like I said, if you want to get your unpopular opinion debated here in the studio, let us know in the comment section below. But let's start off talking about the first one, and this is from ONTHFC, and he says selling Romero would actually be a good thing. What do you reckon about that one?
I don't agree. I don't think it'll be a good thing. I think there are some upsides to it in terms of, you get a player potentially who's maybe a bit more committed. If you accuse him of not being committed to the club, maybe someone who wants to be here. You could say maybe someone who's a bit more reliable when it comes to being available, because Romero's definitely had his injury problems since coming to Tottenham, and we've struggled to get him as maybe on the pitch as much as we want, especially beginning of this season. He was, made quite a few mistakes, but I do think he's a top defender. I really do, and I think we're going to really struggle to get someone better than him, to be honest, to replace him. And I'm not saying we as a team potentially can't get better despite selling Romero, but I just think it's going to be very, very difficult to get someone who's better in quality than Romero, in my opinion. I know people have their complaints about him, and look, some of those complaints are valid. I understand the frustration surrounding Romero, but I think he's a brilliant defender. I really think so, and I just can't see us being better off for selling him.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do agree with that. I do feel like he's a top caliber defender, but when you're looking at his availability, I don't think he's ever played more than 22 games in the season. And when you can get so much money for him and kind of reinvest that, well, hopefully to reinvest that, I don't know if we will, but to reinvest that into another top quality defender. Let's say we were to bring in, I don't know, like a Mark Gehi or something for that kind of money, someone who has a lot more availability and you can rely on a lot more and stuff like that. Would that be a better move for Spurs? Available for more games, but quality goes down a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's an argument there to say that you just need someone who's maybe a bit more reliable. I understand that opinion, and I'm not saying it's definitely wrong. I would just rather have Romero around, but I think Mark Guehi's also a really good defender. I don't think he's quite as good as Romero, but he's a good defender. Maybe he could get better as well, as he plays around better players, plays a bit more attacking in a more attacking system, becomes a bit of a better player. So I think replacing with someone like Mark Guehi is not an awful solution. It's just I just don't think it's going to be as good as Romero potentially.
Yeah, but also you might be more settled.
And also maybe, Romero has a tendency sometimes to have a lapse in concentration. Maybe you won't have that as much with Guehi potentially. I do think you lose a lot with his on-the-ball ability and stuff like that, though. Just quickly, where are you? Because you might have to refresh it.
I went all the way to the bottom.
Oh,
and
okay,
worked
fine.
my way up.
All right, fine.
Next up, we're going to go to Josh Keeley. Should be the backup to Vicario. It's an interesting one, actually, because
Very interesting.
when we signed Kinski, or even just before we signed Kinski at the start of that window, I was like, why are we looking for a keeper? We've got Josh Keeley there. Do you remember these the debates we were having? And I was saying Josh Keeley is doing unbelievable at Leyton Orient. He's also showing in the higher level games, like the game against Man City, that, you know, he can do it in these kind of games. He's the same age as Kinski as well. I mean, I think when you're looking at the differences between Josh Keeley and Kinski, I think they've both got different kind of attributes and they've both got different strengths. Kinski's obviously his strengths on the ball trump Keeley's strengths on the ball. But I actually genuinely believe that Josh Keeley, as an out-and-out goalkeeper, shot-stopping, I think he's actually better than Kinski in those kind of assets. But it depends what you want from a keeper. I'm not sure. I think Kinski is probably further along in his development in terms of, you know, his on the ball and playing out the back, but
He's played more top level games as well.
He has played more top level games, but you never know how Keeley could kind of thrive in playing those top level games. You saw him against Man City, and he was brilliant in that game.
I like Keeley, and I think there is a case that maybe they're quite similar in quality. And if they are on the same level, then I'd kind of would rather have given Keeley a chance. Obviously, Kinski is now here. So the fact that Kinski's here, he should obviously, I think he should be a backup to Vicario. It's tough to say because we've seen Kinski play in Prem games and we've seen him play. Obviously, he's played Europa League for Slavia Prague, and those obviously, and he did quite well. Obviously, mainly in the Europa League, and in the Prem games maybe mixed. I think some really good, some not so good.
The hands you were dealt, right? Because if Josh Keeley was at Slavia Prague, he would have played the Europa League.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just saying that's the fact of the matter. Keeley's played in League One. He has done really well, and to be fair, you got to give him so much credit because ever since he's come into the team, they've kept clean sheets. Their defence has become a lot more solid. Even against Man City, he had a great game. So I understand the argument 100%, and I'm not sitting here saying Kinski's definitely better than Keeley, but I don't see any evidence that he definitely is better to say that he definitely should be ahead of Kinski.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think Josh Keeley, if I was Josh Keeley, I'd be looking at it with a bit of disappointment and being like, where does my future actually lie? Do I have a future at Spurs? Because he's doing so well out on loan, and then suddenly he's out on loan and we bring in a keeper the same age as him. I'd be a bit disappointed with that, to be honest, Keeley.
Yeah, but from Tottenham's point of view, obviously Vicario picked up that injury. Forster was, flattering to deceive in goal, and a lot. I mean, look, let's be honest. When Vicario first got injured, we were sitting here saying 1st of January we have to get a keeper in, and then obviously maybe that opinion changed a bit once we saw Forster put in some good performances. Then he put in some bad performances. Like, we definitely need a keeper. Brandon put in a good game against Newcastle, but when was that? Was that December or was that in January?
When was that Newcastle game?
Probably December time, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But he had one good game against Newcastle. Sorry, no, it was in January because Kinski played the next game, didn't he? Against Liverpool.
So it was just before we signed Kinski, though.
I think we had basically signed him.
Right.
We had already signed him by the time Brandon had that game.
I think it was actually that day, wasn't it?
It was that day we announced it.
Brandon had that performance,
morning.
and then we knew the next day Kinski had signed.
I think we announced it in the morning, and then Brandon had that game.
Maybe, yeah.
So, it's hard to, put that into the context. But I think we all wanted kind of a keeper, and I understand the need to sign him. But yeah, I guess I would be a bit disappointed with Keeley. But again, Keeley at that point had only been starting for a couple of months for Orient, because right at the beginning he wasn't starting, was he?
I think he broke in like second month of his loan or something.
Yeah, which was what, October time?
Around about, yeah, he broke in around late September, early October.
Yeah, so it's hard to say based off those few months that we definitely didn't need a keeper.
I mean, he was a standout performer in that Leyton Orient side. They should know in the club what Keeley's about as well. It's not like just us fans can make that decision. Like, they should know within the club what he's about.
I'm saying
having standout performances.
Now we were in March becoming table, so he's been a number one for Orient for how long? 6 months, basically. At that point, it wasn't as long.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make that determination, and maybe they felt we still need to bring someone in to really challenge Vicario, and I don't think that, on the face of it, that was like an bad decision at the time. Maybe in hindsight, you look at how Keeley's doing so well right now, and maybe Kinski hasn't been incredible, albeit I do think he's good. And I think he's still got a lot of learning to do. But, he's at 21, he's not the perfect keeper. Who is? I'm sure Keely's also not. So maybe you could say, we better off just waiting for Keely. But I still think I understand the decision at the time. I don't necessarily think it was wrong.
You could have. I mean, that performance against Manchester City, was that third round of the FA Cup? Or was it fourth round of the FA Cup?
Fourth round.
Was it fourth round? So
he scored in the earlier round, didn't he?
Or
the
that wasn't
second
the third round he scored in. I don't know if it was the Leyton Orient Man City games. Was the Leyton Orient and Man City third round of the FA Cup? It must have been.
It was fourth. It was the same round we went out, wasn't it? We went out to Villa.
Was it the same round as the Villa game?
I think so.
So I guess if it was that round, then I can understand it more. But if it was the third round, I don't know, we need to check it up. When was it?
I think so. I think we went out because I think it was a Saturday. Then we went out to Villa the next day.
Yeah, you might be right. Just trying to check it.
Fourth round. It said
fourth round. Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, couldn't make any sweeping judgments off that because Kinski was already here a month.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, look, it is a decision that you can probably understand at the time, but I'm just saying from Keely's perspective.
Yeah,
like he'll probably be very frustrated with it.
I understand that.
Next up is saying Son Heung-min is still top 5 wingers in the league.
Top 5 wingers.
He's not even top 5 at Spurs, mate.
Coman Hotspur. Someone who's demanding we sign Kingsley Coman to replace Sonny is saying Sonny's still top 5 in the league.
I mean, I don't disagree with it. When you're looking at
can you
other
name
wingers,
five wingers better than him?
I would say
Saka.
Salah, obviously. Man City have any wingers that are better than Son?
I mean, would you say Doku or Savio are better than him?
No.
I wouldn't say they're better than him. What other wingers? Because Villa don't really play with wingers, really. I mean, unless you want to say Rashford. Is Rashford better than him? Man United don't really have wingers because of Garnacho. I wouldn't say Garnacho's better than him. Gordon? Is there a case for Gordon?
Potentially.
There's probably a case for Gordon.
Is Gordon better than Son?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say he definitely is. Especially this season, he hasn't been that great, has he?
So, in terms of market value for wingers in the Premier League, the highest valued is Luis Diaz. I think Son's better than Luis Diaz. The highest value right winger will be Salah and Saka, but who have we got underneath there?
Anyone in the chat? Can you name Bowen?
Saka.
Say Bowen's better than Son?
Nah, man. Son's top 5, 100%.
Kudus?
Son's top 5, 100%.
Which is mad to think about all the hate he's been getting.
It's all unjustified
and we're still struggling to find 5 wingers in the Prem who's better than him.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. People are saying Mitoma and Elanga, and like Elanga, no. I mean, Mitoma has got some attributes that are better than Son, and all these wingers probably have some attributes that are better than Son. But when you're taking the whole package of who's literally a better player, I think Son.
And even if you just take barefaced facts in terms of like goal contributions, he's probably got more than all of these guys we're mentioning, hasn't he? When it comes to, that's what wingers' really job is a lot of the time, is to get those goal contributions. That's what they're judged on, and Son is still right up there. Hudson-Odoi, I wouldn't say he's better than Son.
Do me a favour, Hudson-Odoi better than Son. Come on, man. Give your heads a wobble, man.
I think the only ones you can definitively say right now are better than him are Saka and Salah. I think other than that,
I agree.
Other than that, you could say maybe Gordon, maybe Diaz, but it's still very close.
Yeah, I think, look, when you're talking about these kind of guys, they're on an upward trajectory, right? So in a couple of years, you might have a case, but right now, Sonny all day long.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, I can't really. There's no one there. Well, the names people are putting out there, I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's definitely better than Son. I can't really think of. Like, you maybe bring up Mbeumo.
You talk about Doku, right? And Doku, like, his dribbling ability is probably the best in the Premier League. But he don't get no contributions. He doesn't score. He doesn't assist hardly ever.
You can maybe can Mbeumo be in that category?
Mbeumo, again, like, his stock's rising and he's a very good player, but to be fair, he scored a lot of goals this season, Mbeumo.
A lot of penalties.
But I still taking Son over him.
Yeah, I think I probably still would as well.
Like, if you ask me, like, to pick a team right now, am I having Son in it ahead of most of those wingers? I would say, yeah, maybe, he's not flourishing in this system, which is fair enough. But in terms of what he brings to a team, just in general, Son for sure.
Yeah, I think he gets into all these teams we're talking about. I think he gets into all of them right now, still, even at 32. So, yeah, I think, look, I think it might be an unpopular opinion. I think it's actually spot on.
Yeah. Next up is this one. Ange needs another season in charge. We will not win the Europa League. Pochettino is not the solution. There's like many opinions in this one. Dragishin is better than credited for. The most vocal Spurs fans online are generally the flip-floppers. 1 week, we are back, baby. The following week, we are rubbish. Ange out, Levy out. So I guess we'll take it part by part. First bit is Ange needs another season in charge. Leave that one with you, Sim.
Depends how these last 2 months go, in all honesty. We need to be showing something in these last 2 months more than what we've shown. As I said, I do like him, and I do think he's a good manager, but the way things have gone this season, not totally his fault, but the league position is where we are. And he has to show when he's got players available and he's got, players to choose from, that we can play the football that we have done at times under his tenure, and that he can get us playing that on a regular basis. And he has to show, because the league season's gone so bad, we have to at least give us a fighting chance at Europa League to, get, we need to beat Frankfurt. We need to be getting to a semi, a final, and improving our league form for sure. But if the season ended tomorrow, I couldn't say he has to be here next season.
Yeah.
Or deserves to be here next season, I should say.
Yeah. Look, everyone knows my opinion on Ange Postecoglou. I think it's been a disaster, to be honest. As the wise Harry Redknapp said, I think when you're looking at from the last couple of months of last season all the way till the present day, it's been shocking. And the amount of losses that we've had this season, 15, there are circumstances to take into consideration for sure. But even looking at the back end of last season when we were fighting for top 4, when we had a genuine chance of getting top 4, we completely flopped. And this season as well, like losing at home to like Ipswich and Leicester and these kind of teams, it's just like, it's a disgrace, man. And I think the only thing that can save him is winning the Europa League. And that brings us nicely on to the next one, saying we will not win the Europa League. And I kind of agree with that, to be honest.
I don't think we got no chance. I think we got a chance.
It.
No, as in we got a chance to win it. As in, I think we got a good enough team. I think we have a chance to do it, especially with Van de Ven and Romero back in the side, and with other players back from fitness now. But we have to play a lot better than we have done. That's for sure. We have to play a lot better than we have done, even in recent weeks, if we're going to get past this Frankfurt side. Now, Frankfurt are a good team, but they have lost Marmouche, so they're not as good as maybe they were early in the season, but they're still a very good team. So
the emergence of Ekiteke, though, and he's smashing it out.
Yeah, he's a good player, but he's not as good as Marmouche right now. So still, we got a chance to get through them. I look at all the sides left in the competition, and we definitely have a chance. I'm not saying we will not win it, but I'm also for sure we're not the favourites, and we're definitely not the favourite, even though the bookies say so. Gives this false impression that there's all the other teams are rubbish and we should be beating all of them. I don't think that's the case. There's some good teams there, but I think we do have a chance. I think we can win it.
We are the favourites.
I know we are the favourites. I'm saying, in my opinion, we're not. But I know the bookies have us as the favourites.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't see it. I mean, I think like we've got a good enough squad to do it, but I just can't see us doing it. That's the reality.
That's the life of a Spurs fan.
Can you genuinely see us doing it?
Can I genuinely see us doing it? Look, I've been through so much pain. Probably not, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Pochettino is not the solution. I think he is the solution. I think Poch would do wonders with these kind of young players coming through. I think he can get this team playing a lot better with a few more signings sprinkled in there in the positions that we need. I think Poch is the right man for the job.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a solution, but I think he could do a good job. I think he could do a good job right now for Tottenham. Obviously, he's not. It's fanciful talk. I don't think he's coming right now, but the solution? Like, does Poch come in and straight away we're back to where we want to be? I think he probably gets us back, back in the top 4 conversation. But whether he can get us to challenging for a title immediately, I wouldn't say so. But which is where obviously he was when he was at us a few years ago. It would probably take a bit of time to get there, but I think Poch is a great manager, and I think he could still do a good job here for sure.
The solution is not immediately to get us fighting for the title. The solution is to, continually show progression. And can Poch do that? Of course he can.
He's done it once. Why can't he do it again?
Yeah.
But there is a case to say, definitely since he left Tottenham, hasn't gone great for him, which is true.
Yeah, but also you're looking at the clubs that he's gone to, and a lot of managers have gone into those roles and not done well. You look at PSG, the amount of players that have come and gone through that job and not done a good job. I mean, as soon as Poch left, they decided to rip up everything that they were doing and go in a complete different direction. Mm-hmm. And obviously they're reaping the benefits of that now. So you've got to look at that. You're looking at his job that he did at Chelsea. I don't think he should have been sacked at Chelsea. I think he was finally getting grips with the squad, finally showing some good form and some good results. And look at what Maresca's doing now. It's not too dissimilar to what Poch was doing. In fact, it was the polar opposite. Maresca started off on fire and then gone off the boil. Poch was off the boil and then was slowly building his way into getting that Chelsea team into a decent side. Mm-hmm. So I think his job at Chelsea was cut prematurely, and probably if they kept him on, they would have carried on the progression that they were making.
Mm. I don't disagree with any of that. I'm just saying the reality is it's been 6 years since he left Tottenham, and it just hasn't been great from him, to be honest, on the bare face of things. So, and again, there's context to that, which I agree with you. But if you're looking at it from just from the fact of since he left Tottenham, how's he been? It just hasn't been great, which is true.
Yeah. In terms of bare-faced results, yeah, I'd agree with that. And he also said that the most vocal fans online are generally flip-floppers. 1 week, we are back. The following week, we are rubbish. Ange out, Levy out. I just think that's... I don't know what he's talking about.
Depends who you're watching, yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about, like the most vocal Spurs fans, but I feel like the people that are Levy out are consistently win, lose or draw Levy out, though.
The main guys are, yeah.
So I don't know who he's talking about. Like, who are the most vocal Spurs fans online? Like, what's he trying to say?
Don't know. He has to be more specific about who he's talking about, I guess. I don't know.
And 1 week, like, when we win, like, I don't even... Maybe it was true, like, maybe beginning of the season when we were winning and stuff, we are back. But even now, like, when we win a game, like, is anyone saying we're back?
Nah, not really.
So I think that's crap. Next up, saying... The squad we have are the best squad since the Champions League final. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think that's unpopular.
The squad that we have now is the best since the Champions League final.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, probably. Well, obviously we've lost Kane.
Yeah.
In terms of the squad, but Kane was so big.
But also, that doesn't say much about this squad. It says a lot more about the squads that we did have. Mm-hmm. You look at it, right? With the squad that we had now, if we had Conte in charge, I think he could do wonders with the team that we have now, Antonio Conte.
Would he be playing Spence?
Spence would have fought his way in.
Hope so.
Spence would probably be out of the club, to be honest, if Conte was here. But I genuinely think the squad that we have, the team that we have, I think it could be perfect for Conte. You have the three at the back with Drag, Sheen, Van de Ven and Romero. You have wing-backs in Porro and Udogie. I think you look at that compared to what he had is worlds apart. Midfield, take your pick in midfield with Pape, with Bentancur. Biss would probably be where Biss is right now, but you've got plenty of midfielders that can do the job that Conte wanted him to do. Maybe Kane would have stayed if Conte was on a good trajectory and we were investing this much. But look, Dom Solanke, I think he'd do well under Conte. You had Sonny getting in more of a central position, which would be brilliant. And on the right-hand side, we'd probably need more investment. But even Brennan Johnson, I think, could probably do a good job under Conte.
Where you're saying Decky's playing?
Decky as well, yeah. Decky on the right, actually, yeah.
I think in terms of squad-wise, I think in terms of depth, I think it is the best we've had since the Champions League final because, especially for the under Mourinho and under Nuno and obviously Conte, we lacked a lot of depth. We were heavily reliant on Kane and Son to kind of bail us out of trouble in so many games. And we didn't have the depth. We still had players like Sanchez playing regularly, even like people like Moussa Sissoko during that time playing regularly, Emerson Royale, Matt Doherty, and we've kind of got rid of all that deadwood. And now you look at the squad. I mean, he even did that keep, low and sell, and a lot of people were surprised how many people you're keeping because you look at the squad. There isn't that. I know the position we're in, but I do think the squad is good.
New deadwood emerges every seauld.
That's
true.
What I mean? Yeah, that's true. Basuma wasn't deadwood. Now he's deadwood.
Well, I said sell him last summer.
I know, but you would have thought the season could have gone a bit better for him than it has this season. But
not really. I put him as my flop of the season before the season started.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably right. I do think it's probably the best squad we've had since the Champions League final. But fortunately, this season is gone as it is.